Hi everyone, welcome to your video lesson for Unit 3.1. Today we're talking about writing equations of lines. So using slope-intercept form, we're going to encounter 4 different situations today in which we're going to have to write the equation of the line. Alright, so our first type of problem here, write the equation of the line with a slope of -1/2 and a y-intercept of -7. So we are being given the slope as well as the y-intercept. So remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Okay, so every time we're trying to write the equation of a line, we need a slope and a y-intercept. So for this example, those are being given right to us, and all we have to do is plug them into our formula. Okay, we always leave x and y as variables in our final answer, and we only plug in for the m and the b values. Okay, so for this type of problem, it was easy as that. Okay, now same level of problem here. This is still level 1, okay, but we're writing the equation from the graph. All right, so still looking at the graph, we're going to need the slope and the y-intercept. So if you remember from 2.1 when we graphed, we always begin with our b. So for this type of situation, we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to identify our b, our y-intercept, okay, which on this graph happens to be -2. Okay, and from our y-intercept, we're going to move and count our slope. Okay, so we're going 1, 2, 3 up and 2 to the right. So our rise over run is 3/2, okay, making that our slope. So now I have my m and my b, which I can just plug right in to slope-intercept form. Okay, and there we have the equation of the line in that graph. Okay, so this problem was just as easy as the first, aside from the fact that we had to count out our rise over run. Okay, moving on now to the second type of problem. We're going to be given a point and the slope. Okay, so if we always need the slope and the y-intercept, we're going to somehow have to solve for the y-intercept using the information that I'm given. Okay, so we know that slope is our m. We do not have a b, but we have an ordered pair. What kind of values are an ordered pair? Okay, so if you said that an ordered pair is an x and a y value, that's right. So we can use that ordered pair and we can plug them in temporarily, because this is not our final answer. We can plug them into the equation for x and y. And that's going to allow us now to solve for b, because b is now the only thing in that equation that we do not know. Okay, so in order to solve for b, we're going to subtract 6 on both sides. And we now have our y-intercept. Okay, make sure that you complete out the entire problem though, because we're looking to write the equation. So we now need to take the slope that we already had and the y-intercept that we solved for, and we're plugging them in to slope-intercept form, remembering to leave x and y as a variable in our final answer. Okay, let's try that again. So you're given an ordered pair. You want to label that as an x and a y value. Okay, and we're also given the slope. So using y equals mx plus b, okay, we're plugging in that ordered pair for the x and the y value. So -7, I have a slope of -1, and my x value is 4. So I can solve for my b value from here. Okay, so we have b, but remember, that's not our final answer. Our final answer is the equation. So y equals, we put back in our slope, -1, or you could just say negative x minus 3. Okay, so this is our final answer. Okay, our third level now, we're being given two ordered pairs. Okay, still y equals mx plus b. We need our slope and we need our y-intercept. Well, what can I find from having two ordered pairs? I can find the slope. I can use two ordered pairs to find slope. Okay, so now my first step is going to be to find the slope between these 2 points. So this is similar to the graph problem. Okay, we had to count our slope on the graph. Now we're just calculating it algebraically. Okay, so our slope, this becomes plus. Okay, I have a slope of -3. Now, when I go to solve for my y-intercept, I can use either one of those ordered pairs. They will both give me the same answer. Okay, so I'm going to use the one that's easier and doesn't have any negatives in it. Okay, so I'm plugging that in for x and y. Okay, just like we did in level 2. In level 2, you were given an ordered pair and a slope. Okay, in this problem, we just had to solve for the slope first. Okay, and I get my y-intercept. Make sure that you write the equation. That is not your final answer. Okay, so what's different between level 2 and level 3? We have to solve for the slope in level 3, but then it is identical to a level 2 problem. Okay, so this is still level 3, which leads me to believe that there's going to be two ordered pairs involved, but this is saying write the equation of a line that has an x-intercept of 6 and a y-intercept of -4. So we have to think back to, again, 2.1, when we did x and y intercepts, and we have to remember that intercepts are ordered pairs. Okay, so that means that an x-intercept of 6 is really 6, 0, and a y-intercept of -4 is 0, -4. Now the y-intercept also acts as our b value here. Okay, so what is the only thing that we're missing in slope-intercept form now? So if I have the b, because that's the same thing as the y-intercept, I just need the slope. So I can use my intercepts, 6, 0, and 0, -4, okay, as my x1, y1, x2, y2, and I can solve for my slope. Okay, and that simplifies out to be a +2/3. So putting all of this together, the slope that I just solved for, and the y-intercept that I was given, okay, my final equation, y equals 2/3 x minus 4. Okay, let's do one more with two ordered pairs. Okay, so I'm labeling each ordered pair as x1, y1, x2, y2, and the first thing I'm going to do is find my slope. Okay, be careful of your signs. Okay, so I have a slope of 2, and then my second step, I'm going to solve for b. So I can use either one of those ordered pairs. I'm going to choose the one that only has one negative. So I'm going to use -3, 5, and I'm going to plug that in for x and y. And solve for b. Okay, so I have that b equals 11, but remember the final answer is plugging back in slope and y-intercept, leaving x and y as variables. Okay, so that was another level 3 using two ordered pairs. Okay, so now using two ordered pairs still, but this is somehow going to be a special case. Okay, so we're labeling these and we're always finding the slope first if we're given two ordered pairs. Okay, so I get -7/0 for my slope. So I have to think, well, what does that mean? So divide by 0 is an undefined slope. Okay, that does not mean that I cannot solve the problem. I can still solve this. So I have to think, what kind of line has a undefined slope? Does not like me today with this one. Okay, so an undefined slope is a vertical line. So remember our little trick. The U in undefined makes a vertical line. Okay, and I have to know that a vertical line has an equation that looks like x equals a number. So this is all information that I already know. Okay, we've memorized those special cases when we were graphing in Unit 2. So what x value do both of these ordered pairs go through? They go through 4. So my final answer here is x equals 4. Okay, you could also get a visual of this if you plotted both of those points. Okay, there's 4, 0, and 4, -7 would be somewhere down here. So you'd have to think, well, how could I get a line that goes through both of those points? And you could see here that it would have to be vertical, and a vertical line is x equals. Okay, let's try another one. All right, so whenever you're asked to write the equation of a line and you're given 2 points, you always want to start by finding the slope. Okay, so I end up with 0 over 6 this time. So 0 on the top is okay. That just means that it equals 0. So what kind of line has a slope of 0? Okay, remember our trick. The z has a horizontal line in it. And what does the equation of a horizontal line look like? It's y equals a number. Okay, so again, think if you plotted both of those points, okay, here's maybe 2, -5, and here is 8, -5. How do you get a line that goes through both of them? It would have to be horizontal. So what y value are both of these points going through? They're going through -5. Okay, so those are our two special cases. Whenever you have a 0 or an undefined slope, you can still solve the problem. You just have to think which one is a vertical and which one is a horizontal. Okay, the last thing that we're going to look at are word problems. So there's two different types. The first type, you are being given the slope and the y-intercept as values in the problem. Okay, the second type of problem, you are being given enough information to write two ordered pairs. So this problem reads, a plumber charges $25 an hour for labor on top of a $50 flat fee to make a house call. Write an equation to model the situation. So right off the bat, we're only being given two numbers in the problem, which is not enough information to make two ordered pairs. So that must mean that one of these numbers is the slope and one of these is the y-intercept. So remember, the y-intercept is always where we begin and the slope is how we move. So where does the cost of the plumber begin and how does the cost move or increase? Okay, so it begins with a flat fee of $50. So that has to be my B value, and it's going to move for $25 an hour. So every hour that we're there, we're increasing by $25. So putting that into slope-intercept form, I don't even have to solve. Okay. We just get y equals 25x plus 50 because it's telling me my beginning value and it's telling me my starting value. Okay, now my second problem here says Verizon Wireless charges $1.70 for a 4-minute call and $4.15 for an 11-minute call. Write the equation to model the situation. So already the difference between this and the previous example is that I have 4 numbers, which is enough information to write two ordered pairs. Okay, so if we think back to rate of change and direct variation, we know that x is always time. Okay, so when I write these ordered pairs, the minute length of the phone call, okay, should be my x value. So a 4-minute call is $1.70 and an 11-minute call is $4.15. So I'm gonna two ordered pairs. Okay, your first step should always be to find your slope. Okay, so set up your y1 minus y2. Okay, and we can divide this out actually because we don't want to have a decimal in a fraction. Okay, so we find that our slope is 0.35, and now we have to solve for b. Okay, so this is step 1, and now step 2 is solve for b. So again, we can use either of those ordered pairs. I'm going to take the first one, because they're smaller numbers. So I'm going to plug this in for x and y. So using y equals mx plus b. Okay, set these up and we can begin to solve for b. Okay, so now we have our slope and we have our y-intercept, and we can put those together for our final answer. Okay, remember, in your final answer, you never put in anything for x and y. You always leave those as variables. Okay, so that is all 4 different types of situations for writing equations of lines.